And welcome back, Overwatch fans. It's EGF Season 3 powered by Intel. And today we've got some pretty great games overall. We have University of Delaware versus Arlington. So we are going to have these two teams who are pretty high up in the standings, number 9 and number 6 respectfully. And these games, since they're already kind of in the playoffs, this is more of just a determining factor of where they kind of stand with each other and maybe if they face each other going into those playoffs. And Twin, looking at UT Arlington, we know they're the top 6 as far as the teams go, and Delaware's trying to crack into that bracket. What do they need to do? What are you trying to be looking for in these games?
I think Delaware needs to frustrate UT Arlington. When we saw Arlington lose to Tennessee a few weeks ago,
Mhm.
that was the thing that really got Tennessee going, was that they frustrated UT Arlington to the core. They were just off the rest of the series, and it forced out the mistakes that Tennessee could capitalize on. If Delaware want to win today, they need to continue doing that. Because on paper, UT Arlington, I would say, is slightly ahead. But I would say Delaware, especially the way they've played as of recent weeks, they definitely have the potential to upset this series.
Yeah, and looking at the schedule right now, we do have Lijiang Tower and Hollywood and Volskaya coming up. So those are going to be our first 3 maps of today's little series. And looking at Lijiang, I'm pretty excited because every time we get Lijiang, we get a bit of different looks from teams, especially coming in on Control Center. I don't know if that's going to be our first map, but it's one of those times where I always like to see what the first punch is going to be because a lot of these teams they like to come out in more of a defensive style, right? And by that I mean the brawl. Like we always kind of see that come out, especially with Symmetra and maybe some Junkrat. I do like to see the wild cards. Sometimes, like some of these teams, uh, especially some of the top teams, have been pulling out a little bit of a curveball, such as Hanzo, a little bit of Pharah every now and then. And those are the kind of picks I like to see, kind of varied up a little bit. Don't like to see brawl a lot, like because we're going to see it a lot throughout most of these games. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm kind of looking for.
Yeah, I want to see some of these niche strats come out. I think especially going to Lijiang, you have such variety, I would say.
Hmm.
Or, yes, we know Control Center is going to be Rush. You're probably going to see Symmetra and Junkrat, because that's just the standard. But then, you get to Gardens, and you could see the Chaos comp with Ball and Diva, like Echo Tracer, which we've seen it a lot more as of recent over these last few weeks. We still see it, top of the ladder of competitive. So I want to see teams get creative, especially, as you said, both these teams are locked into playoffs. Both teams are in very solid spots in their respective conferences. I'm pretty sure Delaware's fourth, and UT Arlington's either third or fourth
Right.
entering this week. So they're both in pretty decent positions. This week is more, all right, let's keep momentum going. Let's keep the good vibes going. And then
Hmm.
as we enter the conference tournament, as we enter playoffs, we're on the right foot and we're progressing, not regressing.
Yeah, and I think me and you can both agree. This is where you start to solidify yourself as
Yeah.
far as what your identity is. You should have probably have figured that out already. And if you haven't quite yet, and maybe in Delaware's case, maybe they're still trying to experiment a little bit. But this is where you start to solidify and you really start to hone in on your strengths, right? You should have ironed out most of your weaknesses. Now it's about execution. And both these teams are going to have a chance today to show that level of execution and show why they're in the top 10 of teams and what other teams are going to need to do to break that barrier of entry as far as execution goes.
Yeah, it's going to be the team who makes the fewest mistakes or the team that can capitalize on those mistakes. As
Right.
we load into Li Jiang, it is going to be control center
Hey.
first. So speaking of the devil, it will be, at least right now, Dez showing the Junkrat, Julian for now showing the Cassidy. We'll have to wait and see if that changes. But both teams, they have the Rhine, they're going to have the Lucio and the Baptiste. There's no surprise there.
Yeah.
And now both teams locked and loaded. Dez, is that going to be actually going to stay? I think Dez will stick onto the Doomfist. No Junkrat, instead going the Doom. I would say more pop-off pick potential, but you're going to lose the spam game.
Yeah, and there's that first pick potential right there as Dez finds it onto Hyper, one of the star players of Delaware. Hyper has done such a great job keeping the team in and out, especially with that speed boost. But now they're going to rotate onto the point and start brawling it out as UT Arlington and Delaware are both trading out respectively DPS 4 tank on either side. Now it's just a matter of who can take control, and it looks like Arlington has opted in to take control of the point first as the brawling still continues. And Janu's gonna go down. No, not like this, as Dez finds another pick, and this Doomfist is bearing fruit right away.
Yeah, the Doomfist working out so far. Again, we weren't so sure of it going right away, but able to get some value early on. Again, that early pick on the Hyper, so big as all the speed for Delaware is gone, and then UTA can just play the rotation game. TP gonna gain control of the room, and now here we go.
Yep, second fight, but the tire's going to be out nice and early for Pod. It's going to go right in front of the team. No one's going to get caught. The MO is down, and it does end up finding one. And 2 more fall off the back of that as Symmetra and Nate is getting a lot of damage done. Yes, does go down in the end, but the tire opens the door for Delaware, and that's what you want to see. Nice, quick aggression as Delaware just takes that point by surprise. I don't think they saw the TP coming.
Well, they saw the TP coming, but they're in such a weird spot where they can't adjust quick enough, right? They already gained control of White Room, and from there, they push right to point, and they're basically flipping the sides of which each team are going to run. And now UTA going to try and flip the script again. There goes the Proton Barrier to split up the field, and going to catch Savix out. Shattered knocks down 3, and UTA, they fight back.
Yeah, they're fighting back pretty nicely right now as everyone's dropping. Nice barrier behind the tanks and behind everybody to cut off the healing. Pob's going to take down Super Juice. Yeah, this is super fun watching these teams have the confidence just to walk on in. One has the teleporter. The other one didn't even bother using it. I think maybe that Arlington is using it for the back end to get back to point.
Yep, they have it set up in their backside spawn. I think we saw it a little bit earlier, and now Big Lenny, here comes Bomb over the top, going to force out, and not even going to force out Immortality Field.
Yeah, and the TP is going to go onto the back line, but the Flux is going to stop that in its tracks as barrier's going to need to be committed on both sides. Arlington drops the beat as well, and now Delaware is feeling the pressure as members one by one start to drop. Tire's going to find one, and Hyper's going to find Tiki as well, but both members of Arlington are still fighting this out. Dez in the back line finally finds the 2 that he was looking for. I was really worried. The reason I got stopped up there, really worried about that super punch. But the Shadow is going to be committed from Delaware as well. And did not let no picks coming off the back of that now as Arlington is able to stabilize. And Soap is in kind of a dangerous spot, ticking down slowly. But BAP is there trying to keep him up, doing a great job. But finally, with the help of that barrier, going to be able to take down Soap and maybe take control of this point as Tiki is now the next target on Big Lenny's eyes. Not going to find it right there. MO is going to be taken down as well. Arlington is doing a great job of delaying this point out, regardless if they win or not. They've already mission accomplished at 99%, but they are starting to turn this fight as the DMEC is out, the hammer is down, and people are falling left and right as Big Lenny doesn't get the DMEC, and that is going to spell the end of this round for Delaware.
Yeah, UTA 100 to 25. And the big thing there, I would say, was Dez. Again, we're questioning, I don't say questioning, we're curious about the Doomfist pick early because the Junkrat with the sim is just so normal now on that round of Li Jiang. But he got picks almost every single fight early onto Juno, and that set the tone every single fight. Juno barely got to play the game. Like, every single time Dez was in the back line, and early in those fights, I think it might have been 3 different fights, Juno was the first one to die, or the second one to die. And when you lose one of your supports, you lose the main source of healing so early. It is so hard to come back from if you're Delaware. They're now going to go over to that Chaos Coming, put them on the Zen, Hyper onto the break to maybe try and deal with a flanker. Dez will still be that flanker. Sombra this time around with Julian in the air with Colby.
Bit of a switch up now because you do have the pharmacy coming out from Arlington and Super Juice on the Ana. So different support lineups for both squads, which is quite nice to see. Love the variety. But that is going to spell the start of this war as they are starting to poke and prod and find out where exactly they want to fight. As the Rockets are finding their targets true, and that's Nate 12 and Jono both going down, and it's just putting Delaware on the back foot. Air superiority is the name of the game, and Pod blinks right into Hyper for the double, and Arlington is going to take this point nice and clean off the back of that pharmacy, admittedly, but great job by the team to make some space.
Yeah, creates a space, and it's like, was anybody looking at Julie in that fight? Like, they were just having such a great time, kind of hanging out. They have Colby just pocketing them this entire time, and as soon as they took out Nate, they knew they could just go in, you know, not care in the world, just because that main hit scan counter is gone, and now already looking for an early barrage.
Yep, about to say that barrage is building up quite quickly. Delaware has to be aware of that. I'm sure they know that it is close to being online as they start to poke Julian out. But this is a powerful position that Julian holds right now, and is going to go straight in, knowing that the defense matrix was used quite frequently, and none of it was left, but it does end up Pod taking him out. Now Arlington is going to have to go on without the Farah, and it's just going to be the Mercy Pocket and whoever they can find, as Pod is just peppering Dez. But Dez is willing to take that fight. Nice translocate out. High Noon's going to come out from Nate as Jono finds Mr. Wrecking Ball going down right there. And now Nano's going to come out on D.Va to stall out the point even more. They're committing everything to this. Mines are going to come down on the side of Delaware as Soap is approaching their mines as well, but the point is going to get flipped over. The mines did a great job of making space as they continue to fight, and Arlington is starting to pull this back. Delaware is stuck on this point. They are not going to have a chance to push out, and this is where the pincer and the collapse can happen. Bomb's going to go over the back, force them to the front where all the bullets are, and now they have to survive this onslaught, this barrage, as Pop takes down Tiki and Soap respectively going down as well. But in the meantime, 20% and ticking for Delaware, so all of this is good news. Looks like there's going to be a bit of a reprieve here for Arlington to regroup.
Yeah, 30% counting now for Delaware, able to flip the capture early on. What a shot from Julian. You could barely even see the hole that rocket fell through. And now it opens up the gates for UTA again. They did use a lot of ultimates that previous fight. Delaware didn't have to use as many as you would think, but still just looking like they're going to win this fight yet again.
Yeah, great movement for Julian there, getting out of the way of that D.Va bomb. Only ended up going to find one. It was Colby, so the healing is down for Arlington. Kind of tragic for Julian, but not even going to be needed as Big Lenny is collapsed upon, and more members going down from the barrage. Kind of looked away a little bit too quickly, but that's going to be okay because it looks like the rest of the team is going to be able to clean up this fight. Even with the recall coming through, EMP's going to come out, and they just want to secure this. Most definitely, especially with the Tracer getting packed up like that. There's almost no stall to be coming. I say that, but then more stall comes. Of course, it's always a caster curse on my end, but it is going to be eventually Arlington flipping this over, and great percentage for Delaware, even though that did, come at a cost, especially from the ultimates.
Yeah, they build. It's going to get to, 90% by the time this point flips officially. There it is, 91%. And in reality, it was two very long fights that it was for Delaware that they eventually lost. And, you make them use Barrage that fight. Valkyrie's used. They're only halfway to EMP. This next fight is go time for Delaware. You have the ultimate advantage. You have some to use right away, some to use late on. As long as you can deal with and Julian in the air, you should be fine. But that has been a big if throughout through this game so far. We'll have to see if they can do it this time around as they start moving to point.
Yeah, Julian's finding such great angles, especially with Soap with this engage. Mines are down, gonna hold them off on the point for right now. Committing trance just to clear off the point. They need to get in here, but Soap is popping off even though he's not nearby as those mines find Pod, and that pulse bomb being down is a huge pick tool gone, as it's just chaos on the front door here as they just try to find any picks they can. Again, great movement by Julian, but Colby cannot escape the bomb, and there's Pop's pulse bomb, and this is what you were talking about. Delaware using those ultimates to find a way in. The EMP is going to come from the outside, but not going to find any target but the mech, as Hyper and Savix are going to clean up this fight and tick it back over. Will they have time to touch? Ooh, man.
Julian should be able to touch as they swap over to the Tracer. Yeah, they're going to jump over the gap. Never mind, Nate. Never mind.
Yeah.
Nate takes care of business, shuts down Julian, and we're going to a round 3 of Li Jiang, and what a great round from Delaware. They love those scrappy fights. We've realized that, especially that round. They love the scrappiness. I think that's where they've shined so far. Pod, time and time again, finding those pickoffs. Got a few sticks on the pulse bombs. And then Nate as well. The flashbang onto Julian, so the barrage is canceled early on in that fight to set everything else into motion. And now we head to Night Market for round 3 as Delaware sticking to the Chaos Scout. Honestly, even more to what UTA was running, as now they have Farah in play. UTA going back to what they won on Control Center.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tale of two teams, like in the different styles, right? With Dez on that Doomfist, it's going to be about the quick engages, getting those picks. And with Nate, they are just going to want to pick and pull and prod and try to find those picks with those rockets. So we're going to have to be watching Dez really, really closely here. As the engage comes through, it's just going to be a bit of a roll through for Savix. Taken down quite low, but Jono's the target for the side of Arlington, and they do find it as the MO is going to keep everyone nice and healthy. And it's just the first pick that you need, as Zen is such an important target for the side of Arlington, and now they can get back to point and start cleaning up the rest of these kills, as without that Discord orb, it is going to be so tough to take down some of these targets, and not to even to mention the healing. Pod's going to have to run away, and it's Arlington taking the first fight on this control.
Yeah, able to set up, and what a call. I'm not sure who it made it, whether it be Soap or Tiki, but to call the engage to jump on Juno in the backline. Like, because most teams with this symmetric setup, they're like, all right, we're going to wait for the opposite team to push in. We have turrets set up. And they're like, no, we're going to push in. We're going to punish this Zen, who is not all alone, because I'm pretty sure Big Lenny was there as well. But, they don't have the speed. You can just push in, and they get that early pick.
Yeah, and Arlington's doing a great job dealing with the frustration that is Nate 12, as Jono is the first one to go down again, and they are going to commit ultimates to this fight right away, as Nate did do the barrage but did not find any targets of value, just got the ammo out. So now Super Juice going to be dropping that Ant Matrix, trying to find some targets, and then Savic's mine is the first one to go, but Super Juice trades that out right back onto Savix. Now Arlington going to be trying to hold this point, especially against the barrage that is Nate 12, as Nate does end up finding that pick, but Dez still popping off, and as long as Dez is alive, the threat is still there for Arlington, as the rest of the team is going down, and Symmetra is going to win that little 1v1 duel, but the rest of the team is here to clean it up. And again, the point still ticking for Delaware, so the percentage in that fight was great for them, as the stall and the stagger. Not like this. Oh, they do kill her.
But hey, it's a few extra seconds that, are gone now. Julian over to the Cassidy, trying to deal with Nate. Dez going to go over to the Sombra to try and deal with this rush, especially with Savix and Big Lenny. And again, Delaware, they're frustrating UTA right now on what they're trying to do with so many different looks. Amork gets forced on early, and now UTA is split. They got 3 on point, 3 at choke, and that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, beautiful call out from Delaware. Whoever told him to pop the trance and go for the barrage, that was such a great split off. The barrage splits off the rest of the team, and now they can just clean up the rest of this fight. And that's just 70% now, Twin. Here we go. This is game time. This is clutch it up. Let's go.
Yeah, Delaware is showing up, and for UTA, I'm not sure how they got split. You cannot get split against this comp, right? Like, that is the definition of what Delaware wants to do, is to split you up and to dive on a target. At that time, they see the 3, move on to point, and they capitalize.
Yeah, and plenty of tools now. Nice eat from Tiki. Definitely saw that one coming, but there is an opportunity here for Arlington with the ultimate advantage coming in. They are going to drop the window, the boop off the map for Savix, so you're not going to have Wrecking Ball for this fight. And here comes a bit of that poke and prod, as the point was already flipped. Keep note of that. How long can Arlington keep control of this? As if they lose in a team kill fashion, they will lose this round and the map. So they have to, in desperation time, keep this going, as Delaware looks to find a different angle for their engage. They are just poking and prodding yet again, waiting for Nate to make the go call. If a rocket lands, you can be sure that Pod is going to jump right onto a target and assassinate, trying to steer clear of this. But Korean, there it goes. Rocket lands, and it was right there for the taking, and Pod takes clear advantage. Now, pressure from both sides.
Oh!
He's going to save the day with a triple bomb, and Super Juice is still here to keep the team alive as we're ticking up to 70%. There is going to be one more fight. But what a huge save with Julian going down.
When you need it most, one of the leaders of this team steps up, as Savix just going to reset at that point, gets booped, and honestly gives ult charge to Colby, even though I think they've already had sound barrier. And now Delaware, you are in a sticky spot. You're not going to have your ball until about the 92% mark. UTA know that. They're going to push up. They're going to hack your Pharah. Pod does get the early pick, though, on a Julian. That could open up Nate. Here he goes.
Oh, no. Dez going down. Barrage is going to be coming from behind. Nice peep, but it's not going to be enough to save the lives. Yeah, it's a nice defense matrix trying to save them as well. But no, it's Delaware that's going to come through. Ultimates, they rain down supreme, and you got to love to see it from Delaware clutching it up like that. There is going to be time for Dez to touch, but no! Gets caught out. Now it's desperation. Lucio has to get the touch. He does. High Noon's going to find Mercy. It's all-out chaos on the point, but that does look like it's going to be the end, as Ball is not going to be able to touch, and Delaware take the first round, sneaking it away from Arlington.
They steal that map away. I did not think they were going to be able to bring it back. But they get an early pick from Pod catching somebody off, and then Julian catches off Dez. Play the game. Speaking of it goes to Julian, who sadly for UTA got caught out on the wrong end of that last fight. They got caught up by Pod, and that allowed the rest of that fight just to kind of snowball. But what a perfect engage, right? You send the bomb over, you know they have to back up at the point, and you just have your father like, hello, I'm here, ready to barrage your entire team. It is perfect execution. That's for both teams. You saw both teams have near perfect executions on their desired comps. It's just Delaware's worked out just a little bit more on night market.
Yeah.
Just wow. It's gonna take a little bit to digest that.
I was gonna say what I like to see here is it's not just that the teams are executing, but they're capitalizing on mistakes, right? Both sides. You have Jono like out in the middle, kind of near tanks, but still separated. Immediately called by Arlington. They jumped on him. That was just in this last map. But then you have Nate on the outside doing a perfect job. They've had to have been calling. All right,
100%.
Cassidy hit by Rocket. Pod immediately jumps on and capitalizes. They are the ball wasn't even involved in those plays, but if you even can get ball with those plays, now they're guaranteed dead and the engage is perfect, right? So there's even still room to improve, even though we saw some excellent plays. I'm jazzed. This is awesome.
Both teams came out swinging. That is for sure. Both teams were throwing haymakers throughout the entirety of this map. I just can't wait to see how the rest of this series goes because now you head to Hollywood, where you could say the rush is maybe slightly more favored, especially on third phase. The dive maybe more on second. But this is where I really want to see some hit scan action come on. We saw a little bit from Nate. We saw a little bit from Julian as well. I want to see both of them really shine on whether it continue to be the Cassidys or it maybe be a Hanzo or an Ash or a Widow. I want to see someone pop off because it has been a true battle of the DPS, right? Yeah. Every single fight we're either talking about, Julian, Nate, Dez, or Julian. We were talking about them every single fight. So who can really, put that effort forward? I think for Delaware especially, can you protect Juno? Because if you can protect Juno, you really have a good shot to, go on series point.
And this is what we're talking about pregame is like we want to see, these teams solidify and really find their identity and start to, ingrain it into their comps and their culture, and that way we can start to really evaluate where these teams stand. And I think Delaware is doing a very good job of that. And speaking of going to Hollywood, now we get to see, on something a little bit more vertical, what are they going to bring to the table, right? Because first point, it's all about breaking through that choke. But then once you get to second point, I mean, you got up, down, left, right, all over the place. You could go dive, you could go Farah again. I mean, you could go Farah throughout most of this map, right? So we could see Nate 12 on Farah again, same with Julian, and we could see if the air superiority is the way to play the game. And if these two teams are as good as we've seen in the first round on this Farah, I would love to see both teams steal each other's playbooks and just start running Farahs, because that would be a joy to watch.
I wouldn't be shocked if we saw more Farah action, especially first and second phase. As UTA, they're going to go with the double shield. As you said, it's so hard to break through that choke. As you have Tiki now on the SIG, so it's okay over to that other side. We are going to see double sniper action. Julian on the Ash, Dez over onto the projectile as Hanzo. And maybe that'll deter Delaware a little bit to go to that far. Obviously, they don't know that they're running Ash with Hanzo. But if they do show up the far early on, you got to think, all right, maybe we don't want to go this as Soap, Julian, and Super Juice all will be looking at you 24/7. And so you're going to get laid out from there. Delaware, they're just going to go double shield as well. Pod, are they actually going to run this Junkrat to start? I am very curious because you don't see the Junkrat, especially in offense, very much. I'm guessing it'll just be for shield break, obviously. Him and Nate will just be shield break central, allowing Hyper to get those Discord orbs on. And that's exactly what they do, and exactly how they get Julian.
Yeah, and there it is. There's that damage coming through. Pod breaking the shield, and Nate cleaning it up with a nice headshot. Good halt, by the way. And that's what Orisa players need to take note of. These halts are going to be super crucial for these teams. They have to utilize it when they can. And here we go. Shield battle from up high. Nice halt coming in. Not going to find anything with it. But now they're going to rotate down to bottom as the point is starting to be ticked away by Arlington. And Hyper is going to get onto the board as Delaware is doing a great job of poking and prodding Arlington right now as they're starting to put the pressure on. Oh my goodness, Pod with his Junkrat spam. It's got to be so annoying as the kills start falling through, and it almost looks like Nate wants to use the Amp Matrix, but it's not going to be necessary as the team collapses on Tiki, and that's Delaware with a really quick .1 take.
A very quick .1 take. They can even get some staggers here, especially if they can catch out Julian. They do. No way does Pod get out of this alive.
Yes,
they actually do probably like 10 health, and now they are healed up 515. On the time bank for Delaware. UTA did not expect the Junkrat. They're not expecting that ultra shield break. They really play his angles a little bit more efficiently, and that's the punish you need. Pod goes up, gets maybe a little greedy, trying to get an early pick off, and they're taken out.
Yeah, Pod definitely was looking for something there. I love it when I see aggressive plays like that, but a little bit too aggressive as the rest of the team now is going to slow push in, kind of wait for Pod to come on back. As they look to rotate to this high ground, try to force him off. And this could be a really nice off angle for the Tire, especially with Nate 12 finding Soap, and here it is. Tire's going to be ripped, but two are already down, so they realistically only need to get one more, preferably a healer, but they are not going to let it happen as Dez takes down Paz Tire. In the meantime, Big Lenny is going to be cleaning up a lot of the rest of the members of UT Arlington, and the defense breaks as the high ground collapses.
Yeah, the high ground just folds over to Delaware. Now they have 4 strong up there. You just have Savix kind of hanging out on that cart, having a good old time. Pod's going to join the high ground now as the Dragons from Nate is huge. It separates everybody. They take out Soap so early on, and now they can really take advantage of this window. Well, until a Dragons goes right through it.
Yeah, Bob to stall the point, Dragon to disrupt the window. The window is going to fade out as the Dragon passes through. So those two ults negate each other, and now we get to the mid-fight as Nate is going to take down Bob. So all the ultimates have been used, but Tiki's going to find a gorgeous accretion kill onto Jono, and with the BAP going down, it's all on Hyper to keep everyone alive. And as we can see, it's starting to falter because the orbs are just not enough, unfortunately. And Julian and Tiki are wrecking this fight with Soap. Just, you know, getting a little bit of assist action going on in there. I love to see these tanks play.
Oh, I would say, yes, Juno, you know, it's... the tank play wasn't really a huge factor, right? It wasn't a huge factor in game 1. A lot of it was the DPS counter play. Now it has really turned into the tanks. Where are they positioning their teams, right? And some of these pulls have been huge. We saw the accretion from Tiki, which was absolutely filthy. And I love how Hyper is, like, we talk about all the tanks, and, you know, they get the one-on-one win against Kobe in the Zen battle. They won't have Transcendence this fight. That leaves Big Lenny wide open for this grab, and here it goes.
Not grabs,
And he got stunned. He got wrecked.
Oh, the accretions have been so huge, but here we go. Flux going to come down. Hyper, yet again, is still popping off. We've seen Hyper get a ton of opening kills, and that's another one right there. But the teams are trading out pretty equally as Tiki finds Baptiste yet again, and it's just Tiki, a one-man army on this point, trying to hold it down as the rest of the team starts to throw in the ultimates. Bob's going to be there to help reinforce the rest of the team. Arlington's doing a great job. Bob's doing a great job taking down Pod, and even Twin is over here like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't be there.
He recalls, right? And I'm like, okay, probably gonna, you know, just back up. And he goes right back into the Bob's face. And I'm like, I was very confused for a second. Oh, as Delaware now, they have Dragons. This fight, Transcendence, Amp Matrix, all will be used. I would have a feeling, maybe even Pulse Bomb late on. UTA gonna have slightly less, but again, who can have the better counterplay? Who's gonna pull that first punch? Because you know you need that early. Well, never mind. I think Delaware might just wait as their main shield is gone. Savix gets absolutely melted with the bongos. Honestly, Delaware, you lose one, you can put some point pressure still, but you draw bongos. Not a horrible trade.
Oh, I love this. This could actually happen. Never mind. Tiki sniffed out the play as Pod was trying to back cap right there. What a wonderful idea. You got to love to see players trying to be a little bit sneaky as, Dez and
it takes
and
a few off high ground.
Yeah, it takes a couple down, and that's going to open the door for people to move up. As Savix, life of a main tank, keeps walking out in front and dying really, really quickly, so they got to find a way to keep Savix in this game. Is Big Lenny and Pa are both dropping down super quickly, and Delaware losing that off tank is going to be super crucial. They're going to have to back up just a little bit in order to find a different angle of approach. As they start taking the high ground here, I like Super Juice's aggression, but it's going to be pulled back in, not going to drop, and that was super tough there, as Tiki is also dropping incredibly low. Man, there's multiple fights happening all over the map. People are trying to find these different angles. You gotta be
He
kidding
hit
me!
that stick.
God hits these, and that's gonna open it up. That's such a nice start for the fight for Delaware, as they need to find even more picks. But no, it's Arlington that's gonna turn the fight around. Twin, what a stick, and he didn't. That's not even gonna matter. Ah.
It's not even gonna matter. That hurts. Oh, it gets the pick off though. Onto Colby. And is able to get out as well, so I'm guessing Pot will be setting up to touch. What a beautiful stick. I can't get over that. What a beautiful stick on a Dez going up. But again, the rest of UTA, they clean up. It's taken Delaware so long to get a true team fight. Like, they always lose one early on. They haven't had a 6v6 in a long time, and now, you know, Pod will be able to touch, does trigger the overtime, and now, as they wrap around, again, you just got to get bodies on this point.
Oh no, Bob's gonna miss completely. It is gonna put backline damage down, but it's not on the point. As you can tell, that's where they wanted it to be. Flux is gonna miss its intended target, but Bidlani is gonna find Tiki in the meantime. Julian still doing their best to keep Arlington in this one, as the pick on Nate 12 is gonna be a lot of damage down for Delaware. They have to find a way. Pod gonna be the next one to fall, as Dez on this Hanzo is incredibly deadly, even with his fist. And now it's just the tank line and the supports trying to hold it down, but nobody can withstand the pressure, as it's going to be Arlington holding just before second cap.
Yeah, Arlington, they found their sweet spot. You know, on that second phase, holding that back high ground. Their rotations were really nice, and they always got those early picks. Again, as we say, it took, what, a minute or so for Delaware to finally get in to that final and that true final fight, because it took so long. Savix died, and then as we were starting to push in that second time, Big Lenny dies. And you just have to wait and kind of just poke and prod. And yes, it builds up ultimates for you, but it also builds up ultimates for UTA, who just kept rotating them every single fight. And now they're in a perfect spot. And Delaware, they just didn't commit to a fight fully, it seemed like. And as well, like, even at the end there, yes, they use Ant Matrix, not in a perfect spot. It's in a decent spot to take out Julian at high ground, but then you're getting shot from your left, from Soap. So it was, I think they maybe got a little bit flustered, as they just couldn't really set up. But now in this defense, they have Pod over on the Torb, which we don't get to see the Torb a lot, so good to see Torb, you know, getting a little bit of play time. But again, the key thing for them is keep Juno alive and put pressure on UTA, because Softe's okay and Tiki, they really turned it on the second map.
Yeah, Juno and Hyper were like kind of the keys to those victories, right? Hyper with the opening picks along with Nate. There we go. I love saying it when it happens. And Nate finds that early headshot, and that's going to slow down Arlington right out the doors. And yep, they're just going to go ahead and group up here. But like I was saying, it's nice to see Juno and Hyper play really, really well. It's keeping their team like in this one, even though they're up one map. What I like to think is that they're going to have a really nice shot at full holding here, especially with this lineup. But now it's Arlington's turn, and they do take down Pod's turret right away. So going to have to think about repositioning that one before the fight actually starts. Rotations coming in on the left-hand side, and they are just set up for it. It's going to be the double shield poke and prod, and a nice flux. Nice halt gonna come through. I wanted to call it a graviton, but Soap gonna be taking a ton of damage. Immo's gonna keep him up, and Tiki's gonna be the one that finishes the kill, as it is just another nice quick fight for both attacking sides. It was really, really fast, as Arlington's gonna take this one nice and easy.
Yeah, very similar to the attack from Delaware, as wins and just gets an early pick. You move on in. Soap states okay, just did not accept death, as they were at 45 for so long, but just dancing around to the immortality field, and, you know, able to get 2 pickoffs. And now Hyper gonna give up on the brig, going back over to the Zenyatta. Savix actually may die here unless the supports can get up there in time. They cannot. That is going to be a crucial stagger, as now UT Arlington have full high ground control when the cart isn't even phase of the map quite yet, as now through the doors, and they just can hold spawn doors for a little bit longer.
What a barrier from Soap, but we did see this on their defense, and this is their comfort zone. And this is where, we'll probably see a really, really hard time that Delaware's going to have coming through both of these small chokes to try to recontest this high ground. And that's what that Savix pick does to the team, is it just makes it almost impossible to actually get through here, as we do see the MO down already, and Savix separated from the team out in the open. So now they just got to find a way. He does end up retreating back to the team, but halfway through second part of the map here, and Streets is rolling for Arlington, as there is just no safe way to come out, as Dragon is going to be committed, and you'd love to see it go right through the team, splitting off the supports from the tank and DPS lineup, as it's just raining hell down from the top of the rooftops. And Bob's even going to be committed into this one, as it's just peppering damage into the backside of Big Lenny. He's got to find a way to deal with it. Cannot, as it's just all Big Bob on the corner, going to be putting damage down, and that's going to be it. No one's going to be able to touch from Delaware, and a dominant high ground showing from Arlington, getting into position to win that one.
That is how you play Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Take notes, because that is the exact position you want to be as the attack, as Julian gets the play of the game. And it's going to be near the end, as after Bob is thrown out, Bob able to get one. They focus down the Orisa, able to take them down shortly after, and the Bongo. But you get that early pick on a Savix, who, after that first, after they captured A, Savix had a very rough map. Like,
Yep.
Savix was just getting picked off every single fight. And at that point, you have full high ground control, and they can just, at that point, push on. They can just hold high ground. It was almost like a spawn camp that you would see on Havana, right? Where, they're coming out one of two ways. We put shields up. They are going to struggle to hit us no matter what they do, and they just had somebody sit there the entire time, and it's the easiest win I think UTA will have in a bit, purely because they set themselves up for that easy of a round.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, UT Arlington, what a great way to display a comeback a little bit from the first map. Having a bit of struggle, getting one snuck out from underneath you, to come back in a more dominant showing. That's what
Yeah.
we expect from a top 6 team. But that, great so far. Delaware obviously has shown moments of brilliance, and they're just going to have to keep it rolling. And we're going to keep it rolling here into a break. But on the backside, we're going to keep this going in this series. I'm expecting 5 games. I hope you join us back to find out. And welcome back in, EGF fans. We're in season 3, week 16, and we are powered by Intel. And for anybody over on the official EGF channel from the St. Peter's, Connecticut game, thank you for joining us in. We have ourselves a really nice match going on right now with Delaware and Arlington. I call them Delaware and Arlington. And both teams have taken a map off of each other. One in a bit of a closer fashion in Delaware, and the other one in Arlington on Hollywood. Pretty dominant, especially with the elevation usage, the rotations. They definitely had everything they wanted to be figured out. They had figured out. Delaware struggled to find their opportunities. They did. I tell you what, Pod with that stick on Tracer. Holy
Oh,
moly, they are mechanically gifted. Now it's a matter of bringing that teamwork together.
yeah, getting that teamwork, and you're going to be on the defense first for Volskaya.
Yep.
They looked a little shaky on the double shield for the majority of Hollywood. So
Mm-hmm.
can you, maybe work out some things if you want to run the double shield, or you could run like the counter dive, which you've seen teams run in the past with the Winston and Zarya. So we'll have to wait and see, what
Yep.
the plan is. You can even hold like back high grounds and use symmetrical teleport back and forth. Though you have a wide book of things you could try and use, and it looks like they're gonna do kind of a mixture of everything I just said. They're gonna have Big Lenny on the Diva instead of the Sigma. Everything else very similar to what Double Shield would normally be. And I have a feeling the reason why Big Lenny is on that Diva is to try and peel for the backline, because as we kind of talked about already, Juno and Hyper just get dove repeatedly. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and help out with that dive that's probably coming in from Dez and Soap.
I was gonna say that's the focal point that we're probably looking at from Arlington, right? You got Dez and Soap gonna be looking to get backline access, and you're gonna be looking at Nate 12, Hyper, and Big Lenny to really peel off for Juno. So it's a battle of these players and finding their opportunities, and if Delaware can shut down what Arlington wants to do. And now they're going to start off on the high ground, which you got to love to see. It's going to be hard for Arlington to actually find their way in, as we do get to see the Torb again, which we do love to see the Torb turret find a little bit of usage, and that is going to help with the dive as well. As the poking and prodding begins, as both teams are just setting up, trying to find their angles in. And I do like Julian on this Ashe, going to be providing a lot of consistent damage with the dynamites over the top. So now we got to see if they can find that angle in. Dez and Soap are on the hunt, looking for their setup, and Julian is on the backside poking and prodding, trying to find a nice shot. This is a reminiscent to the Pharah. When Pharah finds a nice shot, they have that go button. But they'll probably be using the dynamite as the go button, as there it is. We do see Soap jumping up there with Dez as they just try to, get him off that high ground. Arlington's struggling to find their way in, but there it is. Nate on the backside, not going to find the headshot, but that's going to take a little bit of missed timing because Soap went in expecting the backup, and it wasn't there. Now everything's thrown out of whack, and it's just going to be Julian and Dez trying to find these picks with Super Juice, and it's not coming as he just throws the turret
Just
right
throws
at him.
it at him.
Oh my goodness, and I honestly think that's going to force him to back off just a little bit and look for another opportunity.
Yeah, it forces them off the high ground. You got to think that's a little bit of a distraction as well. Like, oh, there's a turret getting launched at me. That is not normal. So yeah, already a minute and a half gone. UTA, they're just trying to figure out how they want to engage, and now there goes the pile drive. A lot of damage in the dynamite as well. Generates Bob, and now Bob almost accidentally goes off the edge, and they're gonna force Delaware to eventually drop down a contest point.
Yeah, and this is the damage we're talking about, the consistent over-the-top damage as Soap continually keeps pile driving onto the team, and the damage being pumped in from all different sides. It puts so much pressure down as we get the second tick rolling through for Arlington. Now it's a matter of getting onto this point without anyone going down. Trance is going to be there for the Molten Core, but Big Lenny hits the go button and takes out Julian right away. They have to be able to cover that res, and they do with the high noon. Now it's all hands on deck as Delaware needs to continue to find these picks to hold this point, and they do. Arlington back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board, but you only, we'll have to wait and see. I think they used actually, they did use 5 ultimates that fight. Delaware used 4. I thought Delaware actually overused that fight, as they used, it was, I think, bongos.
Yep.
They used Molten Core and Rally as soon as they dropped, and then they, obviously, as you said, Nate 12 used the Deadeye to take out Colby. Maybe if you could have spread it out a little bit more, you maybe wouldn't have had to use like Rally or something to that degree. But you still win the fight, right? You still win the fight. You're still holding on to this. Some of these pulls have been great from Savix. I don't know if they heard our criticism during the break, and they're, you know, really starting to work on it. That is a great bomb over the back. It's going to force out Rez, and that'll leave Dez going back to spawn.
Yeah, Dez going back to spawn. Julian going to be brought right back into the fight. Going to have to put down a lot of good damage, find those shots in order to turn this fight around if they want to continue to make it happen. And they do. Immediate stun and 6 turn onto Soap. Didn't see that coming. And now we're getting into clutch up time. People are going to have to find their way in. This comp has been successful to a point, but they still have not captured the point. And that's what you're playing for. So they have to find these angles. Now we're going to see them set up. This is last fight time. And as I like to say, this is where big-time players make big-time plays. And the slam and the bomb are going to come through and not going to find their targets. Dez pulse bomb is going to be eaten up by that ammo field. Lovely setup there. But Nate 12 is going to find Kobe again with the high noon. Another crucial high noon going to be finding those picks. Pod going to be jumped on from the backside. And here comes the trance. It's time for the players to make the plays. But Molten Core and Hyper are just too much. It's so desperately trying to keep it alive for the team. Not going to be able to do it. And Delaware gets a very, very lovely hold on the first point of Volskaya.
What a hold, but I don't think it was UTA's best round either. Because there was a lot of times where, all right, you know, we have Julian poking, and he's poking, and he's poking. When's the engage coming in? It took so long sometimes to either get Soap in position or to get Dez in position. I think part of it was the hesitation, as we saw Soap got deleted one of those times he went to try and engage. But at the end there, you send the bomb in. It's great because you force them to either they have to drop down to point, whereas exactly where you want them, or they have to back up inside. The thing was, during that time, you want somebody on point, right? To start building up that percentage, build even more pressure for Delaware to touch. Throughout that entire process, nobody touches the point. So it's stuck at that second tick until Delaware already is back out of that room, recovering from the bomb, and then UTA threw a body on the point to start the pressure.
Yep.
If you do that at the same time, I think Delaware might have made a mistake, as they would have known they would have had to play a little bit more fast to get on a point, and it could have snowballed from there. Instead, Arlington, yes, they have a win condition, but a very difficult one at that.
And this is why I like calling out players at the beginning of the series, right? I was talking about Hyper, one of the stars of this team, and this goes to your point. Keep Juno alive. And that's what happened throughout the entirety of that map. Hyper and Nate constantly keeping Juno alive. In a pivotal moment in this series, they come through, and you win game 3. You are one map away from winning this entire series.
So they're running the rush.
Oh.
I think I think for this exact same reason, as they can just try and run, and yep, there goes Hyper. Immortality field used early, and now you got 5 stuck in that room. I wasn't expecting it, as Tiki trying to cut off the exit. Instead, they get punished. They're gonna get demacked. But Soap is still coming from the opposite end, and they're just going to force everybody out and win that first team fight. But I think now if you're Delaware, it's like, oh, we're running rush? Okay, I would expect some changes to come out here, at least from somebody, you would think, as yeah, there goes Pod over to the Tracer. Nate's going to go over to the Pharah, and they know the mission. Julian's the only person that can really touch Nate right now. Just Tiki as well, and they're going to go right over to this Chaos comp that they beat UTA on over on Lijiang.
Yeah, and you like to see him do these nice switches just before this next fight, right? And it's going to, I think it might catch UTA off guard, as, yeah, Dez didn't even see the fair coming in, and it's going to take a rocket right to the butt. But they're just going to turn on it and go straight on to the rest of the team. Juno is the target. Not going to find it right away, but Soap in the end does take him down. So now Arlington is going to be looking to continue their pressure, jumping onto the rest of the team. But everyone's kind of split up, and to your point to the Chaos comp, it is very chaotic onto the point. They are going to have to use Shatter to take down what Savix was doing, as Nate gets a nice pick on Julian, and if they regroup really quickly, they can come back in at full force. Yeah,
that pick is going to be huge because Julian had Deadeye as well. That leaves Nate wide open in the skies. I think Big Lenny had to reset. They were out of mech. So maybe taking a little bit longer for them to at least start this engage, but a lot of ultimates about Delaware have done a great job building these up early. And now, as I believe Julian's getting sped back by Colby, they can try and take this engage. Pod, I think, tried to spawn camp, and it didn't work out. As
Yeah,
they're going to get caught out, and now Delaware waiting even more.
Yeah, crucial pick there for Arlington to get that in order to stall out just long enough for Julian to also get back. I think you were right. I think they were trying to spawn camp it a little bit. Not necessarily the target you want to spawn camp if you're the Tracer, but now we are just kind of back to ground zero as both teams are looking to find their way in. As Savix is going down again, they just have to regroup a little bit here and find a little bit cleaner of angles.
Yeah, it's kind of the issue they had on Hollywood, right? Like, they couldn't figure out where they wanted to go. Kind of similar to where UTA had an issue on this exact map on their offense. So now a minute left. Pod is in the back yet again, so I guess that kind of confirms what we were thinking earlier. And they're just going to look for somebody who is left alone in the back. Ooh, it gives away their position there, but I don't think UTA recognized it.
Yeah, not quite yet. Maybe didn't realize where that damage came from, but now with the pepper damage, it's setting up for a nice engage for Savix. He's going to be coming in right on the backside, dropping the mines, slamming on the high ground there, and it's going to be taking out multiple members as Dez and Big Lenny, respectively, go ahead and take out some damage. But Julian is going to trade it out with a Deadeye. They are going to try to get that res off. It does come through, so they are still up one as Diva bombs and bullets are flying all around the map. We're on board with Julian, trying to find a target. Keep everybody in it as Super Juice takes down Hyper. That's crucial. Hyper going down and not going to be able to keep the team up. But Tiki is also a huge target. Now you don't have the defense matrix to slow down this barrage. And Dez coming back from spawn, gonna find another pick as they switch to double hit scan to clutch up this round. And we are ticking down. It is just gonna be a massive brawl onto the point now. No matter what they do, they're just gonna have to hold and try to find these outer picks. And there we go. It's going to be Juno going down as well with only 4 seconds left. Savix is going to get the touch, but nothing else after that as Diva is going to struggle to find her way onto point. Delaware is going to continue this map, but for how much longer, we don't know, as the rest of the members are trying to get here. Nate is next on the docket, going to be stopping up. High Noon comes out, going to be clearing off the point. Anybody that tries to touch is going to be shot right in the head. And a better hold coming out for Arlington on the first point of Volskaya.
Is that one of the first times this season we've seen a 1-0 hold after 2 full pushes? Like, this map is always like, all right, if a team gets full health, the other one just, just pushes right in, usually captures it within a minute. Or we go, second phase, OT, etc. Both these teams had actually really good defense. It was just Delaware. I liked the swaps in the end. It didn't work, but I at least liked that they went for it. But UT had a great game plan. We're going to stick as one little unit. We're just going to try catch people in the back line. We saw the aggression time and time again. It was calculated. It was not completely random. And from there, they just, every single fight, they somehow brought it back. I thought that last fight, they were done. And then all of a sudden you see Dez coming back on the soldier. He takes out the Pharah as he's coming back from spawn. That flips that fight entirely on its head. What a fight from UTA.
We got a bit of a message in the ear here that's saying Soldier is the best hero. So, Soldier definitely was crucial in that last fight, as you said, coming back from spawn. Man, Time to Light, who is a soldier? Oh, yeah, our producer is a soldier. Yeah.
He's a one trick.
He is. So, but anyway, yeah, I think UT Arlington found a way to clutch it up, right? And I think the biggest point that you pointed out was on their defenses, both teams had a really good understanding of how they wanted to play the fights. And it was their attacking sides that struggled to find the angles, struggled to find the targets, and really honestly struggled to set up. We saw multiple times Arlington couldn't even get into position because one of their members would drop due to getting caught on the flank or just not quite being there in time. We saw Soap explode in one of those engages because everybody just turned on him. And those are the kind of moments where, as a team, you got to figure out a different way because that way just wasn't working.
Yeah, at that point, it's like trial and error. Like, all right, we're going to try this. If not, all right, we're going to try this.
Right.
And I think for both teams, eventually, just like, you ran out of options. And at least for UTA, you got those 2 ticks, right? You forced Delaware long enough off the point to where, in the end, we weren't sure if that was going to matter a whole lot, right? We're like, they're in a tough spot. They didn't look great. Delaware's looking good on this map. And they, have that great of a defense where, yes, they give up a tick because of their and I wouldn't say over-aggression, because of their aggression into the back line, and they win the fight. Yes, you give up a tick, and you really can't have that level of aggression again. But it works out for you in the long run, as Delaware just couldn't really get it together on the offense.
Yep.
And now going into Route 66, we're staying the same side, so it'll be UTA on the attack again.
Mhm.
You wonder if they carry the momentum or if defense is still going to ring true over here on Route 66.
Yeah, I think Route 66 like it really kind of leans toward both these play styles of hyper aggression. There's a lot more
Yeah.
angles you can go in from Volskaya, right? You have that main choke, and then you can split off in two different directions. I like Route 66. You have 3 or 4 different angles you can come across. You can go underground, up above, straight on, or to the right. You got a lot of different ways to go on the first point. Second point, even more,
Yeah.
especially if you don't get stuck in the spawn choke. But once you break free from those points, yeah, these teams, the way they've been playing ball tracer, even Dez on the Sombra could even be being pulled out. And again, both these teams are fantastic at Pharaoh. We could even see that as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of the Farah and more of the ball, the diva, the tracer. For
Mhm.
now, though, Delaware, they're just gonna go back to what worked
Yeah.
on Invul Sky, and that is the Orisa and the Diva. And yes, it is pretty popular and pretty normal to hold up on top of gas station here where they're holding currently. And usually it's a Sigma instead of the Diva, but again, they at least know their issue has been not being able to peel for the backline as much as they've wanted to. And Big Lenny on the Divas worked so far, so you stay at that. UTA going double sniper, the rest is rush. Oh, never mind, they're gonna be boring and swap off
I
the
was gonna
Widowmaker
say,
right
man,
away.
after all the robot hearts out there trying to get on that
So
bastion.
never mind. Basically normal rush. I think Desmore there just for the extra shield break more than anything else.
Yeah, they're going to be rounding this first corner quite quickly as their pressure is going to be coming from top of gas station. Pretty normal, like you said. Just going to be a lot of poking and prodding yet again. Waiting for these teams to find their opportunities, but Pod taking a little bit of a dangerous angle here, getting right up in the face of Arlington. Not going to be punished as of yet, as Armor Pack is going to come through to keep Pod up quite healthy and continue that backline pressure as Nate finds Dez for the first pick of the game. And this is where this dominant position and why it's so popular. So hard for Rush to break this without rushing around the back. They just don't have a lot of options. Just really waiting on the DPS to find some kills. As Julian is just sitting there, defense matrix right in the face. And I do like that they knock some of the people off the high ground. And now this is where Ball kind of shines through as Colby is going to take down Savix, and the healing just isn't there for him. And Pod trying to continue this pressure. But with members falling all around him, he's going to have to find some heroic plays. But the Immortality Field is going to deny. And now Nate has to run away.
Yeah, Nate trying to get up. Not sure if he will be able to. The flash goes through, and Tiki's just going to realize it's not worth trying to get that as Hyper does fall. They're not going to be able to touch this point. UTA cap. 5 minutes left on the time bank. And you said, it is a little rough, especially on Rush, to try and get through gas station because it is so easy for them to hold that high ground. But they eventually find the pick. They force them to drop down. And from there, they're able to break through, and now Hyper over onto the Zen, Pod over onto the Torb to try. I don't know. I think maybe just more of a comfort pick more than anything else. As they've been playing well on the Torb so far, not really countering anybody in particular from UTA. Maybe Tiki, I guess, if they're in the back line for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But now Delaware again holding high ground, forcing UTA in a rough spot.
Holding high ground, doing a great job of pressing down the Rhine shield. Holt really going to make that suffer and going to have to wait a little bit as they just regroup inside of this little corner, trying to figure out a way to rush up to this high ground. And I do like the turret. I think it keeps the off angles at bay, so that way maybe they can find a different way to go in. Dragon's going to come out at the same time as the bomb. Bomb's not going to find a target, and Dragon is going to force the fight to be spread all over the map as the Shatter finds Big Lenny. Immo is going to come down to keep Big Lenny up, and they are going to commit the bongo down in order to get this damage that they need. But Julian's going to find Pod as the utility all over the map is going down, and Savix from up top and down below, Big Lenny respectively, just on this point, trying to pressure everybody out. Window is down, trying to keep the heals going onto Soap. Soap is going to find Minnie, the little baby diva, and Nate is just going to jump off the map for the reset as Arlington wins that super spread out fight.
Yeah, super spread out fight. For Delaware, I'm not sure if the Zen Bap is the play anymore with Orisa Diva. I think you either, you swap Hyper or you swap Lenny, just because the play style that you want to run with that is, yes, you want to poke, but you want to engage when necessary, especially with Lenny, with Nate, with Pod. And A, you don't have the speed, B, you don't have the healing. And I
Yeah.
think they're now going to try and maybe go a little bit longer range. Nate's going over onto the Hanzo. But you don't have the healing advantage that UTA does. And UTA done a great job of realizing that, keeping that calculated aggression that we saw from Volskaya. And it's worked out time and time again. Dez already has that Dragon Strike back online to try and separate the back line yet again. And, you know, UTA, they're looking good. 4 ultimates, should have 5 or all 6 by the time this fight begins.
Yeah, and Delaware doing a little bit of UTA's job for him as they push forward and letting the rush comp get right on top of him, giving Julian a beautiful sight line for the high noon, picking 2 off. And this is going to get really, really tight. Now you're going to be coming out of respawns, trying to figure out a way to get some kills and stall out the point. And ultimates are online for Arlington. You're going to have the window, Nate going down on the back end, just trying to touch and get back to the team. And you're also going to have Shatter and Bomb, and I expect them both to come out very, very quickly, especially right after this trance is done. They are pushing out. Big Lenny finds the first pick on Dez. That's huge. Bomb's going to be in the back line. Gonna find Big Lenny. The tank is down. It's all on Sevix, trying to hold it down for the team. Not going to be able to. Now bodies are just being thrown onto the point, and they're being cleaned up quicker than a janitor at a school. There we go. Johnny on the spot. They cleaned everybody up. I know, it didn't make a lot of sense, but we got there. We got there, and so did Arlington, with a nice time bank at 312.
Great time bank at 312.
Just move
I can't. I'm trying to figure out. It took me a second to figure out the analogy you were trying to get at there, but we got there. We got there.
It was a roundabout. It was a roundabout analogy.
It was a roundabout way of doing it. But UTA, they look good now. They're in the driving seat. We were wondering if it was either going to be Delaware. All right, maybe they're just a better defensive team on these type of maps. We're going to see them play well on the defense, and we're going to see how it goes from there. And it was the other side around, where UTA is like, momentum's on our side. We are now fully comfortable in this series, and we're just pressing W at 100%. They're not giving Delaware any breathing room. When they're running that rush, they're running it to near perfection. Again, picking a target, focusing on the target, and just rushing from there. Again, it's usually either Juno or Hyper, and exactly who you want in these. I see Savix as well. Savix has been targeted time and time again just because they know Savix doesn't have the heals that their tanks do. And now UTA going to be pretty much similar to what Delaware was running, going up on the high ground on top of gas station with the double shield, but they will be going Julian on the Ash, Dez on the Hanzo. Lots of damage coming through from that high ground. Delaware going to try and find a way to break through.
Yeah, and remind me after this game, I have a question I want to bring up to you based on how we saw that last round end. But anyway, we're going on to this round. So we are going to have Arlington sitting up here on the defense. Dez going to be putting some poke shots down. I do like what Delaware's running. They're going to be sticking with Pod on that Tracer. Been having a great series on the Tracer so far. Going to be hoping that they can, find some big plays out of Pod in order to open up some of these fights as Savix starts to move through gas station and look for a bit of a cheeky back flank, trying to get on top of these healers. But no, everyone is just looking straight at him. And that's down to half health already. Savix in a bit of a rough way. Halt's going to slow him down just a little bit and is going to end up going down. Great pincer onto Savix. But Tiki now in a desperate situation as Hyper takes down Tiki and punished immediately for the aggression onto Savix. And that's going to open the door for Delaware. Yes, they are going to get the res to come through, but now it's just everyone's all over the map and spread all over the place. And it's just them up on top of this gas station trying to hold it down. As the cart starts to slowly move around, Nate 12 going down is going to take a lot of damage away, and Big Lenny caught out in the open. Everybody on Delaware is now scrambling to get back into this little tunnel and set up for their tanks to come back around, and I love that Tracer kept that cart moving.
Yeah, the Tracer at least kept the cart moving, but Big Lenny, they can't say they got into that tunnel. They're taken out, and they'll be heading back to spawn. Now they're going over to the Sigma. So instead of trying to use the Wrecking Ball Diva Rush that we saw it once there, they're still like, all right, we're just going to match the double shield. That is a great shot from Super Juice to take out Pod. Delaware going to have to take a little bit more time to push in with this new lineup. And yes, it is potentially the correct swap, but half of your time bank is already gone. UTA have some ultimates. They can start rotating. You really need to either get somehow an early pick or make UTA to make some mistakes with these ultimates.
And you gotta love it. You just saw Julian sitting there waiting to throw that bob in, as Dez now has Dragon online. Not gonna have to be committed though, as Julian finds the first 3 picks of the fight, and Delaware is now scrambling to back up yet again. Man, they are just getting picked left, right, and center. They gotta find a different way in.
Yeah, they have learned, yeah, let's not go all the way around as Julian. Because of the amp matrix that was put in front of them, that dynamite does extra damage. With the mercy boost as well. 60% to ultimate already. They just used Bob maybe 20 seconds ago. They're going to have it potentially late into this fight. I'm not sure if Delaware is going to expect it. And they know they're pushing up on high ground, and I think Delaware will now know that they know. As the pull comes through, Hyper is dead, and again, they have to reset. They have no choice. You cannot push him with just Zenyatta heals, and especially without 2 other of your teammates, it's getting a little sloppy now from Delaware.
Yeah, I mean, how do you deal with this? Let me know. Give me a little insight, right? They are just full-on aggression. Like you said, they're pushing forward. They're even going for these cleanup kills, and they're getting them. I mean, everywhere they push into, they're either forced down, halted down. What do they need to do to get through this?
You need to play a little bit faster, which, again, it's harder because you don't have that Lucio, and you want to take advantage of that Discord orb. But you need maybe a little faster, and then you know you have ultimates now, which is, I think, their win condition from the beginning. Is like, all right, we need to build ultimates. The problem is UTA have 4. They should have Gravitic Flux. And late into the mid-fight, you need to get value out of these ultimates, and you cannot go down tunnel when you know they have dragons. You are lucky you have Immortality Field.
Yeah, Ammo and Trance both will be committed, one right after the other, so they weren't stacked. They were actually used in sequence, which is good news for Delaware, as they are starting to find a little bit of damage down, but the Flux is going to come through, going to find multiple members, as Tiki is going to find the picks that he wanted, as Pod is going to go down, not going to hit the accretion, but the damage is done, and everyone's starting to back off. Savic's pushing forward, though, not done, out for blood, and there we go. That opens the door for Nate to find some picks. But traded right out right away. Now it's overtime. It's all down to this. This is where you can win or lose the series right here, and you got to be making some plays as Pod finds a crucial pick onto Kobe, denying the res afterwards. And there we go. Delaware going to be finding the picks they need. Flux coming through just to secure it. You didn't want to see it, but at least they got it done as Julian tries to scramble for some Bob percentage. And there we go. Delaware clutching up the first point here.
Yeah, it was not pretty, but the job got done as they captured point 2.5 minutes. On the time bank, they do have less than half of what UTA had going into second phase. As Savix is trying to get out, it's not been a great day for them. They've not had the best day playing against UTA. As UTA, they know how to put the focus on that wrecking ball when it gets into the back line. We saw it again there. Des almost takes out Juno as well. As almost takes him out with the Storm Arrows also. But, you know, 2 minutes left. They know the rotation's coming through. And it doesn't matter when Nate can hit that kind of headshot on your main source of healing.
Yeah, even got Ant Matrix, but obviously didn't matter. Prod going to be finding Soap, so the healing didn't come through there as the res came through on Super Juice as no healers were available to keep them up. Now it's going to be on Julian trying to find the picks here. Nice dancing. Nate did a great job of keeping Julian busy. Love Savix jumping right in on top. Keep him distracted even more. They've opened the door now. They have high ground. They can contest up here on Julian. And this UT Arlington is reminding me a lot of the one that would against Colorado. But Delaware is stepping up to the plate, and specifically Nate 12 doing a great job of finding the picks that need to be found. Oh, and he even almost finds the Mercy. Going to be getting healed up from the backside. And this is just a slow poke and prod as Big Lenny's out in the front and is going to go down as Arlington is slowly going to win this fight.
It's slowly but surely they win the fight. And again, time is their friend. It is not Delaware. There's 1 minute left. And the chances of us reaching second phase just keep dwindling down as, again, Delaware, they may need to use ultimates this fight. I don't know if you can really afford to, let's build ultimates this fight and, try and use them very late heading into OT. You can't afford to risk that. No. As they're not going to. Mines go in early. It forces out the Immortality Field and allows Delaware to push in. And now UTA, just they can back up. They have a little bit of time.
Yeah, and it's all about finding an angle for Nate here. If he can get one pick, Dez is the one that finds the pick, though, as these Hanzos have been so crucial for both teams. And now this is the go button. You got to find some kills off this trance, because once it's done, it's just Juno in the small amount of heals that they do have. Pulse Bomb is going to go in, trying to find even more picks, but it's the Dragon for Nate that finds Colby on the backside. Big Lenny's going to find Dez. Are they going to clutch up a second fight in a row when they need to? It is looking like it. Nate on very, very little health, but is going to find the orb that is needed. Accretion going to push Bob off the point so they can finally get the cart rolling. And Delaware finds a way again in overtime to win the fight that needed to be won.
When they need it most, they seem to claw back. They're not going to have as much time as... Seems like every time they capture points, Savix gets killed. You can see Accretion, Mercy Boost, pulled as well. Yeah, Savix is having a fun time playing Overwatch as a main tank in 2022. But Delaware, you don't have as much time to build up those ultimates just to press Q again. And yes, you save Ant Matrix from Hyper. You have Minefield coming out soon. And you almost get Tiki. He is lucky to be alive up on that high ground. And now, gonna try and give some revenge.
Yep, Gorilla Flux is going to find two, as Big Lenny is going to throw to Accretion, trying to stall out just for the heals to come through. They are going to get him as a nice little cheeky angle for them, but the window's going to come through. Got to get our Tiki out of there in order to survive. Nice eats coming in, keeping them alive. Flux going to come through, not finding a whole lot, as it is the mines for Delaware that's going to drop right on top of everybody, and Pod is going to clean up the kill as Tiki was separated out from those mines. And this is a good advantage for Delaware now. They have an opportunity to push this all the way in. Dez going to go down to Pod. Julian going to find Juno. That's crucial. Not a lot of extra damage coming through now from that Discord orb, as everyone is just piling in. Pick after pick coming through. Arlington desperately trying to hold on. As Soap, you can see him looking all over, trying to find the target. Savix going to take down the Bongo. Now it's just trying to keep Savix alive. If he goes down, it's going to be horrible for Delaware. Overtime is triggered. Can they clutch up one last fight? Arlington says no, and they're going to close out the map in a 3-1 victory on Route 66.
UTA, they clutch it out. Delaware, they ran out of lives in overtime, right? If they, time and time again, yes, they claw it back. They claw it back. UTA was more consistent on the day, and it showed throughout as Julian... He really turned it on, especially Speed High Noon. Doesn't care that he's stepping in Molten Core. Follows the Baptiste all the way over. Yeah, you miss a few shots, and that's all right. I'm pretty sure they died to the Baby Diva right after that as well, if I remember that clip correctly. But I think UTA were more consistent on the day. They made the adjustments they needed to make, especially, I think Volskaya is where things turned. Because, after their attack, we're like, Delaware is in a good spot to go up 2-1. What is UTA going to do? And they go maybe not what we expected them to run, going that rush. But the way that round ended, right? They win that round. They make it 2-1. At that point, momentum all on your side. And I think it was just too much for Delaware to overcome.
Yeah, and I think what we got to do now is look at what we were talking about at the very start, which is what do we expect from top 10 teams?
Yeah.
I think they met expectations and in a few circumstances excelled. Even in Arlington, I think finding a way after losing that first map on Lijiang and having the fortitude, because Delaware didn't let off the gas. Delaware came right at them, and even on Volskaya, almost a full hold on point 1. The mental to come back for Arlington, incredibly impressive. And for Delaware, never stopping. Overtime fight after overtime fight. Their mental is also incredibly strong, but as you said, they just, didn't quite have enough in the end. But I tell you what we do have, we have an interview coming up with Tiki from the winning team of Arlington. But first, we're having a break, so don't go anywhere. Join us right back here to have a talk with Tiki. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back in, Overwatch fans. Back here with Tiki yet again. Tiki, we've been here once before already. And this time, you guys take down Delaware in 3-1. Tell me about a little bit of what happened on that first map. How did they sneak one away from y'all?
I think it was just because a lot of us was like literally our first time on. I know that Dez actually just got back from work. But also it was just probably a bit of miscommunication and stuff that we tightened up as we played.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it, really.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. It definitely seemed like you guys were just a little bit shell shocked by some of the things that they were doing, but definitely cleaned it up in the series. Now, tell me a little bit about you guys going into the final stages of the season. I want to know, how you're feeling, especially that looked like the form against Colorado. Like, is this what we can expect you guys coming into the playoffs? Is this form?
Oh yeah. I mean, I
That's
know
simple.
I know this is probably the single best game I played personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but oh yeah, no. We're starting to feel ourselves and yeah, we're making our way up.
Twin, that's what I like to hear, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you guys had a great showing. You made great adjustments throughout the entirety of the series. What was the mindset after your push on Volskaya? Because you got held, what was it, 75 and 76%. You
Mm-hmm.
got on point A. What were the communication like? All right, we can still win this, and you guys made such great adjustments. I'm just kind of curious what the team's thoughts were going into that defense.
Well, we said that honestly they really couldn't match our speed. Um, because if we can just get on their back line, we get a pick and we just come back to point. They're gonna be always down one, so we just decided to go rush and then just run at them.
Nice.
And I mean, before that, we were going in. We're just like, okay, we just fuller hold. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It's easy as that. Sometimes you guys showed it as, you win Volskaya after that great hold. Any shout outs that you have for your teammates, family, friends? Floor is yours.
Oh yeah, shout out to Delaware. They played great. Shout out to, of course, my teammates who are here in person and the two that decided not to show up. And shout out to my parents who are watching, and also to my stream chat again, who are probably here. So
All
Always
right.
lovely to have Tiki come in from UT Arlington. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
thank y'all for having me.
All
Thank
right.
you, Tiki.
And okay, we are going to have a pretty quick turnaround on our break as we are setting up for the next set, which is DePaul versus RIT. Go quickly, do whatever you got to do. We're back here in a couple minutes. We'll see you then.